Our mom would drop us off at school. Kindergarten. And she would, like, most parents are like, just saying, like, go do your best, whatever. She'd be like, kick today's ass, is what our mom said to us.
Welcome to Spartan Up Podcast. I am Joe Sena, CEO and founder, and we are your kick in the ass, your inspiration. Each and every week we come at you because you won't do it yourself. This week, DeCCio Brothers. These three brothers reached out. They started a company called Supercoffee. You've probably seen them in grocery stores. You've seen them in Shark Tank, possibly. Anyway, when my friend reached out and said, I've got these three brothers, I immediately asked them to come up to the farm. Why? Because my wife and I have children, 2 boys, 2 girls, and every single day in between dealing with Spartan, all I think about is how to make sure these kids have everything it takes to kick life's ass. Am I giving them everything I can? When you listen to this, when you listen to these three brothers, they're going to lay out exactly how their parents raised them, the step-by-step process which made them successful. I'd like to know, like, how were you raised, or how do you do your raising? Because, you know, a lot of people think I'm nuts, and I think I'm pretty normal. And, you know, a lot of you out there probably say, oh, Joe, he's too hard on his kids. I read some stuff about him. I watched some videos. He's a crazy person. I don't know. When I talk to these three brothers, and you're going to get into it here when you listen or watch this, their parents are pretty tough on them. And so I'd like to hear from you. Like, am I crazy? They also tell the story of how they got on Shark Tank. Have you ever wondered how that I always wondered, how does that happen? How do you end up on Shark Tank, and what's it like? These guys get into that, which is another little fun tidbit. So I'm glad they came to the farm. Listen, watch, comment. Let's get into this.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Gone Rogue high-protein chips. Visit Amazon or GoneRogueSnacks.com and use the promo code SPARTAN25 to get 25% off.
We are here for Spartan Up Podcast with Jim, Jake, and Jordan from Supercoffee. DeCCio, right? Italians.
That's right.
That's right.
Italians. You guys big espresso drinkers?
We love espresso.
Every day.
We got Super Coffee, and then the next one was Super Espresso. So we got the little 6-ounce cans.
I like it.
Yes,
And you guys started in a dorm room.
Yeah, started in my college dorm room in Philadelphia University. So we had 5 a.m. practices, which we were used to. Growing up together, we were very competitive. They played football. I played basketball. And they were Division I athletes at Colgate and Georgetown. I was Division II. So it's intense. I mean, 5 a.m. practice every single day to 8 a.m. business class was a challenge for me. But we were super aware of what we were putting into our body. Our coaches were pressuring us to eat better, live healthier. And it was funny to me because I would go to my school store on campus and there's no healthy options whatsoever. So you'd have energy drinks, you know, Monster, Red Bull, the traditional energy drinks, and then bottled coffees. And I loved coffee, but they were all loaded 40 grams of sugar, 290 calories. So I said to myself, well, why can't we create something that tastes great, is good for you, and gives you energy? So I started playing with the early concoctions of Supercoffee as a freshman student athlete. And from there, it was just, how can we improve it, make it taste good? All my teammates started drinking it that year.
And that's 2015. No sugar.
2015.
You couldn't get anything sugar-free in 2015, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, even now it's hard, right? If you go through an airport, I go through airports all the time, and you can't find anything.
Yeah.
But I've been seeing Supercoffee pop up here and there. I saw it in Montauk. So it was completely random that you guys, that we connected through a mutual friend. So, but how'd you grow up? Because I have 4 children. We have 4 children on the farm, and I want to make them like superhumans like you guys. So I like to hear the story of how young kids turn into entrepreneurs and just get after it and get it done.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man. We were super close in age. But today I'm 27, Jake's 26, Jordan's 25.
Yeah.
And we all played sports. And in the backyard, we were rivals because it was one-on-one. You know, it was basketball, football. If it was football, one person would play quarterback, the other would be a safety, the other would be a wide receiver. I remember on one play, Jordan threw the ball to Jake. I broke my nose. Jake got a black eye, and it was like, that's what it was. But then that bond of rivalry, we hated each other when we stepped onto the field. But in high school, we were on the same teams, you know, so we don't know business. You know, I didn't know what a business plan was. Our mom used to work at the YMCA. Our dad's a construction worker. but we know sports, we know teamwork, we know resilience, and that's what's enabled us. We have sort of built-in trust amongst the three of us.
Yeah, and I'll just give a lot of credit to our mom here too. She was a All-American Division I lacrosse and soccer player, so the best athlete in the family, most competitive. But she always preached to us, like, while it's nice to be important as star athletes, it's more important to be nice, and it's more important to be kind to people. And those are the values that we've carried into leadership. And we'll be the first ones to say, like, we were never great in school, like we're always middle of the road in classroom, but we worked hard. And that translated into business too, where it's like, look, we're going to outwork everybody. We're going to be, nicer to all of our employees and our partners than everybody. But we're not the smartest guys. So we need to go out and get people who know the business, the ins and outs, to make sure we're not making the wrong decisions.
I love that. And so did your dad or mom, did she wake you up early in the morning and like push you?
Yeah. I mean, I remember back in.
I'm looking for any kind of justification that I'm normal.
No, yeah.
Okay,
this
yeah,
is great.
We'll dive deep.
Yeah.
We'll dive
So
deep here.
Yeah.
2 quick stories. One is our mom would drop us off at school. Kindergarten. And she would, like, most parents are like just saying, like, go do your best, whatever. She'd be like, kick today's ass, is what our mom said to us. But I remember distinctly in 2nd grade, you compete in the track and field 200-meter dash. They, like, associate it to your year. And I was telling my gym coach, like, I'm fired up. I'm ready to do this. And she's like, well, are you getting ready? And I'm like, yeah, my mom has me running hills. And she's like, what? And I was like, no, we're really running hills. So yes.
She was pushing you guys at
Yeah.
a young age.
Yeah,
Yeah, even our dad too. More so football. He was Division I football player at University of New Hampshire, actually, not too far from here. And I mean, you can tell the story better than me, but his whole thing was, in between drills, be the first one to the next drill. If you do get a water break, if you're lucky enough to get a water break, you're the first one to the water cooler. Like, don't let anybody else beat you there.
Yeah, so we look like maniacs out there because we're sprinting to the water cooler, and our teammates were like, "What the fuck's wrong with these guys?"
Yeah, Dad would, like, definitely make us. You'd run, like, the laps at the beginning, and they were competitive. Like, everyone else was like, it's the warm up, and he was like, you better win that damn warm up. So
So it was always on.
Always on. But again, there was always that sense of, even if we didn't come in first place, while it was disappointing, it was like, how can we get better? How can we learn from it and get better? We weren't getting shamed at home by any means. Like, it was aggressive, but we weren't getting shamed. And again, our mom always looked for those little acts of kindness to kind of balance out our competitiveness. She sensed that, like, competitiveness was instilled in us. It was a majority of who we were, but she didn't want it to, like, overtake us as human beings.
It could go too far.
Yeah,
exactly.
But as young kids too, you get it as a learned behavior because they push, be competitive, work hard. And I remember there was a time he was like 12, 11, 10. We were playing Little League baseball. We had started his regular season game. We were probably 5-0, and we lost. And we got home, and we're still in our plastic cleats. And Jim just takes off running down the road because he was in fury that we had lost the game, and we just followed him. And we went for like a 3-mile run, and like the neighbors saw us, and they're like, "Are you making the kids go for a run?" They're like, "No, they did that on their own." But it was like that learned behavior of, like, you gotta want to compete and you gotta want to win.
You'll like this. What the kids had to do on the second camp. We have an Olympic wrestler living here, so they did 40 hours of wrestling over a 2-week period, a couple of 2-hour blocks each day. They did 50 miles of hiking. Okay, the last day of which was 10 times up and down that mountain. Took, 12 hours.
It's a big mountain.
300 rope climbs, 20-foot rope, 300 rope climbs, 1,400 perfect push-ups, which really means like 2,800 push-ups because no good, not counting it, not counting it, not counting it. 1,000 burpees, 2,800 leg raises, and a lot of cold water therapy.
I love cold water therapy. That's
the
great.
cold water therapy.
Well, I'm calling it therapy, really punishment.
Did you get any phone calls from angry parents on the second?
We had one mom come up and pick up three boys, which was
It wasn't our mom.
it was not your mom. No, and I feel bad because the boys were doing fine, but the boys were texting and making it sound like this is terrible. Can you lie to Joe? Can you tell him we have a family? It was ridiculousness.
Yeah. But that first one, you said we just listened to the Rogan.
First
podcast.
one was another level.
Yeah. And they said
that's cool.
Well, so the kids that were complaining to their parents at the end of it, they thanked you. You transformed
1,000%. Yeah, and many of them came back to the second camp.
Oh,
So there they were crying in the first camp. This is because you got to remember, we're coddling the kids, right? We're bubble wrapping them. We're protecting them. They came here. The bubble wrap was ripped off. The Band-Aid, there was no coddling. There was no syrup. Like, they had pancakes in the morning. Why would I give you syrup? I'm not going to give you all that sugar, all that garbage. Well, I don't eat pancakes without syrup. Then you're not eating. I don't
That's
care.
epic.
It's funny they came back. Why as humans do we like to suffer? You know, like why do we like to?
It just feels purposeful, I think, at the end, right? You pat yourself on the back. You know, like when every kid gets a trophy, I think that kid knows, like, I didn't really work that hard. I didn't do that well.
And I love the neurosurgeon that was like, you got to finish to connect the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Because if you don't finish, there's no connection.
There's no connection. Isn't that unbelievable?
It's crazy.
I had never heard it either. I mean, I would argue to people for 20 years, like, finishing things breeds finishing other things, right? Success breeds success. I had no idea that a neuroscientist could look at the brain and actually see those wires being connected.
Yeah.
Right? So I was telling the parents, like, please do not pick up the kids.
Yeah.
I don't want gaps in their brains.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
Exactly. What the Michael Jordan quote is just like quitting's a habit, not a behavior. Like once you quit once, it becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So what's next? Like, tell me what happened. So you get out of the dorm room, this thing builds up, and then what?
Yeah, so that was my my freshman year, and that whole year I was playing basketball, right, and trying to be a decent student at the same time. So it was hard. So I didn't have a ton of time to work on it, but it wasn't until that basketball season ended that spring when I was like, all right, I'm going to get serious about this, because at that point I was working on it for 6 months. My teammates were actually drinking it. I was calling suppliers, ingredient suppliers, faking like I was a manufacturer. So I was getting free shit sent to the dorm, like, and preparing, hundreds of bottles for my team. So Jake was at Georgetown studying business, but he was going into his senior year. So Georgetown's got this awesome summer launch program for new startups where they're encouraging kids to launch their own companies rather than go work on Wall Street. And I said, Jake, do you think you would want to do this with me? Because I'm pretty serious about it this summer. Maybe just trying to launch it. And he was like, yeah, Georgetown has this program. So I ended up going and moving in with him that summer. And it was just balls to the wall. We were working 15 to 20-hour days, finding a manufacturer, going to make our first sale at Whole Foods Market, actually. They had a local program. We went into one store. We took a bottle of Honest Tea, which we'll talk about, their founder being our mentor. But we took a bottle of Honest Tea off the shelf. We went back to his dirty kitchen. We ripped the label off the Honest Tea.
Senior year house, disgusting.
Ripped the label
5
off the
football
Honest Tea bottle. I brewed up the formula in a blender, like the same way you'd make a smoothie at home, filled them up, went back to that same Whole Foods and said, hey, we're a local vendor, Georgetown kids, like, here's our product. What do you think? He was like, I love it. I'll take 8 cases. Yeah. And we were like, holy shit, how are we going to make 8 cases?
We said, holy shit.
You got to buy a lot of Honest Tea to make 8 cases, right?
Yeah. Well, so that was the thing back then too, is like stores won't carry you without a distributor. A distributor won't carry you without stores. We had neither of those things. And the manufacturer, the minimum runs are crazy. So we were like, geez, it's impossible to get started. So let's make it ourselves. Let's make our own deliveries, and let's pour samples. Let's stock shelves. Yeah. So if we did that, we did that for 18 months before people were like, wow, this stuff sells. Yeah. We were able to raise money from that.
But that summer was a humbling experience. I mean, like, we worked on like the business plan for the first time, which we never did before. So we put together like this piece of shit like business plan. There was like all these projections that we actually just recently looked at and kind of laughed at because you never follow it. But what we learned was how hard it was going to be. So at the end of that summer, we had one store signed up. We found like a hole-in-the-wall manufacturer that was really a culinary kitchen where we could just go and make it legally without causing too many issues. But at the end of August, I had the decision where he was going into his senior football season. I was supposed to go back and be the star point guard for my sophomore season. And I told my parents and my coach, I'm like, hey, I'm dropping out. Like, I can't go back to school. We have this business. We have some traction. And again, just being a naive 19-year-old, I gave up my scholarship and moved in on his couch. And then also, he was working in New York at the time, and I kind of convinced him to join us full time. And that's really when the company started. So 2016 was really our first year.
And it wasn't even naiveness, though. It was pretty simple math. It was like, Jake's going back to play football. We have to make this stuff. We have to deliver this stuff. Then we have to sell it off of the shelf to get people to try it. And if I go to Philly, 3 hours north of here, who's going to do all 3 of those things if Jake has a game on Saturday? And it was like, I'll drop out. And then that's when Mom really didn't like that.
Do you regret it?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's been the best experience, not even just because of the success we've had with the company itself, but just the learning experience and the pressure that it puts you in. Like, I thought college basketball was hard. This is a different level. I mean, especially when, we have 90 full-time people now. learning to going from an individual contributor, which is great to be the best point guard, in the country, but going to leading a company and just putting other people before yourself has been like the most rewarding experience over the past 5 years.
And headquarters in Boston?
New York City.
Oh, New York City, nice.
Yeah, but we're so spread out. I mean, we have 90 people, only 15 are in New York. Okay. And we operate in every region of the country, so we're really diverse right now.
But we are proud of our 7-1 Yankees, too.
And you're all living in New York?
Yes, sir. We live together.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 5 years of really grinding. Yeah, and we are still really grinding, but we're building the team. But now we're at a point where we actually, shout out to Jim, we just raised a $28 million Series B round of financing and signed a national distribution contract with Anheuser-Busch. Oh, wow. So those are 2 huge hurdles for us to take the business to the next level. So the next 5 years is, 1, doubling down on what we're really good at in the States, going really deep in these regions, but more product lines, different types of marketing experiences that we haven't offered yet. And then at some point, international expansion as well. So yeah, the data that we have on the brand, like we're actually challenging Starbucks and Dunkin'. Like it was nice to say those things at first, but now we can actually challenge them. So how do we overtake them? Flip the script from people drinking 40 grams of sugar on a daily basis to super coffee, which is 70 calories and 0 sugar.
Yeah, kill the sugar. All right, let's take a break. Why don't we run up the mountain just so I can make sure you guys are still in shape because you did give up school. I don't even know if you're training anymore. You're right? Like you guys are just drinking coffee all day. Right. Let's get up the mountain and then we'll come back and finish this thing up.
We'll be right back to this interview, but I want to talk to you a little bit about Gone Rogue chips. These are not your ordinary chips. They have less than 2 carbs per ounce. They're made for people like you. They're made from real, fresh chicken, never from frozen, and it's baked to a crunch and seasoned with spices. They have flavors like chicken bacon, barbecue chicken, buffalo-style chicken, teriyaki chicken, and the flavors don't come from bottled smoke flavor. The chicken is smoked in a smokehouse with a blend of hickory hardwoods for an authentic smoky taste. So the Gone Rogue chips, they're light, they're fast, they're great for before or after your workout. They're easy, they're super portable. It's an easy way to get your fix with a crunch of a chip and the protein of a jerky. Visit Amazon or GoneRogueSnacks.com and use the promo code Spartan25 to get 25% off.
Woo. Mountain's tough, huh?
Oh, baby.
You guys needed like a case of super coffee for that mountain.
Yeah. 4 of these things on the way up.
You were telling me about Shark Tank on the way up. How'd that happen?
Man, so part of what we do is we say create your own luck, and we never wanted to be on a Shark Tank. We always thought it was tacky, and 40,000 companies apply and 100 companies make it. It seemed like a gamble. And then on LinkedIn, I saw one of the producers posted. He actually commented on another entrepreneur's like secondary thing. It was like, hey, we're taking auditions now. Do you know anybody? So I slid in there. I DM'd the guy. I was like, hey, me and my brother started this company. And he was like, this is awesome. I love this story. We auditioned. We did the whole deal. We flew out to LA. They hosted at like Sony Studios. And it was cool because we're on the golf carts driving past where they're shooting TV shows and stuff. And we were the first company to pitch on a Saturday morning. And the tough thing about Shark Tank that's different from a regular investor pitch is they know nothing about you before the episode. So we had to show them, not only do we have to introduce ourselves in the business, we had an hour to convince them why they should give us money, why they should believe in us. And it was awesome, man. We went back and forth. As athletes, like we love to win. We didn't even get an offer. Not one shark made us an offer. So, I mean, obviously we left the stage with our tail between our legs thinking we lost, but it was also motivating. We showed up to work. We filmed on a Saturday. Monday morning, we showed up. We stocked the shelves. We improved the formula, and 10 months after we filmed that, we were able to raise our Series A and keep the business going.
So sometimes losing is winning.
Yeah.
And
my gosh.
Because they wanted, and even like we didn't even get to an offer, but they started talking about the percentage range that we offered 5%, and they started talking about like 35%. And just to Jim's point, we filmed in June of 2017, and had a $10 million valuation at that point. And the round that we had just closed was north of $200 million. And it's 3 years later. So, and to your point, we did go in and we got our ass kicked on Shark Tank. We felt a little bit embarrassed, but it didn't make us break stride. It just made us a little bit hungrier.
Yeah, and the strategy that we pitched, probably not as hard as we should have, was the right one, which was, yes, we're a small company now. We're a year removed from a dorm room, but we're getting better so much faster. We're learning every single day. So to Jake's point, going from a $10 million company to a $200+ million company in 3 years is what we should have sold them on, rather than look at what we're $1 million in sales today. Right. So I think that's always the best strategy, is like, how fast can you evolve and improve over the next 12 to 24 months? Because any given startup has so many disadvantages. Any logical investor can find a hole in any business that's
where
been
you
around.
are today.
It's like,
this is where we're going.
It's like, Guy, we were trying to explain to one of the shark, I think Cuban, it was like 12 months ago, I was playing college basketball. Like, of course our business isn't sound right now, but we didn't even think to say, like, but give us a year to show you what we can do. And I don't think it would have changed their mind, but that's the strategy that's worked for us, to Jim's point. It's like, we're just going, learning, improving, bringing on people who are smarter than us, and that compounds over time.
I love it. And what would you recommend for people out there? I mean, right now with COVID, there's a lot of people looking to start coffee businesses or whatever business, right? They got their ass kicked. They lost their job. What would you recommend?
I would say don't do coffee. It's hard. No, but seriously, take action. That's one of the things that the three of us talk about. Like, we never studied business. We're not, I mean, we don't know what we're doing, or we didn't, but you learn as you go. And I mean, I've heard you say it before, is ready, fire, aim, or fire, ready, aim.
One of those.
One of those.
Something.
Just fire.
Just fire. I was talking to a woman. I was working down in Tampa, Florida, doing one of our sales routes in a Target, and she was telling me how she works with the Tampa Farmers Market Association, and they cultivate organic foods, and it's her passion, and she loves it, and she wants to go full time, and she can't wait. And I said, you are not legit until you quit. Take off that red shirt and go back and start selling the produce you want to sell. Like, you're not going to do it. When you're telling me, I see the passion pouring out of your eyes right now, like, go do it. And I hope she's listening. I hope she's doing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great question. People always say, how did you guys do what you've been able to do in such a short period of time? It's like, well, we did it for 20 hours a day for the past 5. Like, we've actually just did it and put the time in. And when you can go from thinking about something, maybe working on it on the weekends like a side project, to 12 hours a day even, like, that's a big jump, a lot of time and energy, and you figure it out pretty quickly.
It is amazing, right? You just pivot tomorrow and pivot the day after and make an adjustment. But otherwise you sit there, like you said, paralyzed. I say it all the time, right? And you just don't make the move.
Well, you were supposed to have 300 races this year. You're going to be lucky to have 20. And what are you going to do? Are you going to quit? Like, is this at the end of Spartan Race?
No, we're not quitting. We're pivoting. We're doing whatever we have to do.
Exactly.
We're taking Coffee Brothers on the farm here. We're doing what?
Whatever. Hopefully this leads.
All right, what do you guys do on a daily basis? One of the things I remember as a kid, when I would see successful business owners, they were typically smoking cigars, they were overweight, weren't taking care of themselves. Hopefully in this new world, entrepreneurs could treat themselves like Olympians, like athletes. What do you guys do on a daily basis?
I think we think of it a lot like that as well. I mean, we're Jim's probably the most disciplined in the morning, sticking to the routine, but every day, no matter what, for me, I have to get some sort of movement, some sort of workout in, and meditation, some sort of meditation. So I practice transcendental meditation. And again, when you're working 12 hours a day and have a lot coming at you, it's the best way for me to kind of stay logical, stay calm. And then the workout is also a stress reliever too. So people say, how do you sustain it? Those two things for me. And then in terms of diet, which we think is super important as well.
Probably the most important.
Yeah. We're keto aware, I like to say. Like, we're not ever in ketosis. Maybe some weeks we'll cycle in and out, but just low carb, intermittent fasting. Sometimes we'll do 16 hours, mainly 16 hours, but sometimes 24, 36-hour fasts. And that just keeps you sharp and keeps you feeling fresh. And then reading as much as I can. I try to get at least 30 minutes of reading in a day. And those are like the 4 things: eating right, working out, meditating, and reading.
It's funny, Jordan didn't read a book until he dropped out of school. Once he dropped out, he's like, geez, I got to teach myself all this.
Yeah, that's part of the evolutionary process.
Go ahead, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, the only 2 things I would say, in addition to that we're pretty hyper aware of, is our sleep. We try to be early risers. Can't say that we're up at 5:30 every morning, but we do have a pretty good commitment of trying to be in the sheets by 10, to know that's the only way you're getting a shot. And then hydration, I think, is something we sell a lot of coffee, but a classic quote out there from one of the early people we worked with is, you got to hydrate before you caffeinate. And those 2 things, in addition to everything Jordan just said, are definitely big.
I will say, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, like, despite the discipline and despite the go, I'm awfully inconsistent. It's not like my alarm goes off at 5 a.m. every day and I'm up. Some days I'll wake up at 5 and work out at 5:30. Other days I'm working out at 7 p.m. at night. You know, it's.
Got a mouse in
Oh, we got a mouse in the coffee.
Wow.
That's how you know we're at the farm.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
That mouse would be
For
cracked
those of you just listening, the coffee is so good. A mouse showed up. I can't even believe this. The mouse is on his foot. And,
We're at the farm. This is how you
and-
know it's real.
and I don't understand. The mouse wanted some coffee.
That is awesome.
That mouse is gonna be on crack for the rest of the day.
He's running up and down the mountain 10
But
times.
you said you're inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get movement in every day, but not at the same time. Not the same. Like some days I'll just stretch.
Yeah, but
He literally keeps coming out for coffee, the mouse.
yeah, we should pour some out for him.
do.
I think the one thing too, which a lot of people might struggle with, is the travel that we have cooking. Even through COVID, we're still traveling a lot just to see our employees and try to make an impact. And I think that's where it's discipline, but you have to be flexible. You have to give yourself, like Jake's point, sleep is probably the biggest thing for me as well. I didn't mention that, but 7 hours for me is like where I need to be. So if I can't get that on a flight to LA, but I have to be up to do something, I'll push my next morning meeting to make sure I'm getting 7. I don't need to get a workout before that first meeting, but if I don't have 7 hours, I'm almost wasting other people's time if I'm not showing up like ready to go. So sleep is something that's kind of like a non-negotiable during travel.
The workouts too, like you definitely want to sweat every day. I think is something that we shoot for. But then like when you got it, you know, when you feel good, give it hell. That's something that like there are times when you just go out and feel like you're going for a 2-mile run and you got 10 in you, like take every bit of that, squeeze it.
Yeah.
And that's where, because most days you're not gonna, if you got 10 meetings and you're up early and late, then you're not gonna get that window.
Most days two's hard. Most days you gotta like just fight to get 20 minutes. But on to Jake's point, when you got it, go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Awesome. I love it. These were all good things, and we're completely aligned on everything. And the mouse clearly is part of the team.
Same team, same dream.
Brandon,
You guys
bro.
are awesome.
Thank you, brother.
That's
Bro,
awesome,
thanks,
brother.
Joe. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, thanks for coming all the way here.
Yeah.
I told you. They were raised as I suspected. They were raised by tough, gritty parents. They're both athletes, right? I love that the mom would say, hey, let's kick today's ass. Imagine saying that to your kid on his way to kindergarten, right? Like that just sets a whole tone for the rest of their lives. And then this idea of like, look, be competitive even with your brothers, but you got to also be nice. Hard to do. A lot of people don't understand that. They're either too nice and not competitive, too competitive, not nice. These kids, and I wasn't with them for long. I was with them for a couple of hours. They had both sides figured out somehow. So parenting really, really does make a difference. Here's another great one. I made a note here. Between drills, be the first one back for the next drill, right? And I remember I was watching a wrestling tournament, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Kyle Dake. They were exhausted. He runs right back to the center of the mat. And I said to my boys, I said, no matter how you're feeling, right, get right back in it, because your competition, your coach, everybody looks at that. Those are people you want to be around, the ones that are hurting, but get right back to it. So I like that idea of when you're doing drills, you may, and by the way, he said his teammates thought he was nuts, but you know what? They stood out. And it paved the way for this business, which is now worth $200 million. These 3 young guys, they're worth what? $50 million each. Like, just because they were parented in this gritty way. The mouse, clearly the mouse on the farm knew that we are all an average of our 5 best friends, because the mouse saw what was going on. He came and hung out with us. He was sitting on one of the brothers' shoes, which was pretty amazing. And, you know, they liked my idea, which is fire, ready, aim. So for them, they had termed it growing up, you know, make the jump, take the leap, which I think is very hard to do, especially, you know, you got 1 year left in college. This thing seems like a hobby, but they go for it. They go for it. And the parents allow them to do it, which I got to be honest, I don't know if I'd let my kid drop out of school, but clearly it was the right choice. So listen, I want to hear how you parent. I want to hear how you were parented. And I'm just always looking to learn. I'm looking to suck up information on how to do this right, because there's really not like a guidebook. You know, when you buy a new car, there's like an owner's manual. There's not one that comes with a kid. So I want to hear from you. How do you do it? Comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you next week for a kick in the ass. By the way, I have a feeling you're going to be seeing these Coffee Brothers more and more. They really like what's going on here at the farm, so we might be doing some cool content together. Stay tuned.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Gone Rogue High Protein Chips. Visit Amazon or GoneRogueSnacks.com and use the promo code Spartan25 to get 25% off.